What's up, sports bettors? We're going to turn $500 into $10,000, and we're going to be doing that on Underdog Fantasy. So, if you're not familiar with Underdog Fantasy, it's better than PrizePicks actually, which I didn't realize for a while, just based on how their payouts work, right? So, if you play on PrizePicks or Underdog, you know that any three picks, like it doesn't matter what you take. Overs, unders, doesn't matter what three picks you select. It's very weird. They don't vary payouts depending on if you select overs or unders or depending on your picks, right? That's very different than a sports book. That's very, very different than a sports book. So, what you'll notice is on PrizePicks, any three pick entry is 20 to win 100. On Underdog Fantasy, it's 1, 2, 3. It's 20 to win 120. So you're getting a little boost. You're not getting 20 to win 100, which is plus 400 odds. You're getting 20 to win 120, which is plus 500 odds. So these differences make Underdog Fantasy better than PrizePicks, right? And it's, although they're exactly the same for a two-pick entry, if you're going with three-pick entries, you have to be playing on Underdog. The implied juice, the implied VIG, is minus 122. So we've gone through this math a ton of times, so I don't want to dwell on it. But essentially, for any two-pick entry on PrizePicks or Underdog, your implied juice is going to be minus 137. And the reason for that is you're betting. So if you have a two-pick entry, it's 20. So let's get rid of one of these. It's 20 to win 60, right? But the 60 includes your stake. So it's 20 to win 40 in profit. So that's just plus 200 odds, right? If you were looking at a parlay and you were able to find two bets where both legs are minus 137, what you'll notice is, hey, my parlay comes out to plus 200. So because PrizePicks and Underdog, any two-pick entry is just plus 200 odds, the implied juice, implied VIG, whatever you want to call it, that they're charging is minus 137. So that's critical to understand as you look for value, right? As you look for value on Underdog and PrizePicks and you try to beat them, it's critical to understand how their payouts even work, right? Like, you can convert PrizePicks and Underdog prices into odds. You just need to have some basic understanding of what's going on. So what we can do is we can go, okay, let's just look at PrizePicks and Underdog Fantasy. So I'm going to select Underdog Fantasy, and then I want to select PrizePicks, and we'll see what loads up, and then we'll hit some bets. So we'll go to PrizePicks 5 Flex, and we'll go to Underdog Fantasy, and we'll see if we can find some good bets. So one of the first plays I actually found, which we can go through right now, is on Michael Pittman in the receiving yards market. So I found this on the middle betting tool. So what is a middle betting tool? What is a middle? A middle shows you where sportsbooks have the line set at different levels, right? So what you can see right here is, sometimes the middles are bigger than other times. Like, we can actually go through a pretty interesting example. I previously, I was able to get Jameis over 215.5 on PrizePicks, Wentz over 245.5, Tua over 250.5. If we go to Underdog Fantasy, you can see I actually have an entry with Wentz under 257.5. So I'm middling it over 245.5, under 247.5. Winston under 239.5. He's awful. So we have over 215.5, under 239.5. So that's a huge middle, right? If Winston has exactly 220, 225, 230, 235 passing yards, whatever, I cash my over on PrizePicks, I cash my under on Underdog Fantasy. So that's really the power of OddsJam and just looking for value. And it's completely free to browse odds on OddsJam for any sport you want to look at. But anyways, let's look at this Pittman guy, and we can see if we like it or not. So Underdog Fantasy, you can get over 62.5 receiving yards at minus 122. On DraftKings and on Pinnacle, it's juiced towards the over, 1 yard higher, and Caesars has his line at 68.5, so 6 yards higher. It's kind of as a data-driven sports bettor. You're thinking about this like an investor, right? Every sportsbook is an independent data point where the line should be set, and you're looking for value. So I guess we don't want to play this on Underdog because it actually looks better on PrizePicks if you can get it in a 5-pick flex. Pittman over 61.5. Maybe that's a play you want to go with on PrizePicks. But I'm going to hold off for now, and let's go back here. Let's see what's available. So first one we definitely have to be all over is Colton Wong to get a hit. Minus 122. It's minus 122 on Underdog Fantasy, right? That's the implied price we're getting, at least in a 3-pick entry. If you were playing this in a 2-pick, you're getting worse odds, right? And this may take a sec to wrap your head around, but you can watch the video in the end screen. Is 3-pick entries are much better on Underdog Fantasy just based on the math, right? Just based on the math that we've gone through a ton of times. And why do we love Colton Wong to get a hit? Well, look at the value. FanDuel has this 100 cents higher at minus 220. BetOnline, a very sharp sports book, is pricing this at minus 169, right? It's just rational. Even if you don't understand the math and watch some of the other OddsJam YouTube videos, understanding like, why is this a 4.57% profit margin? You know, that's not important, right? What's important is to realize is as a sports bettor, you always need to be getting value, right? If you're not getting value, if you're the guy placing this bet at minus 220, you're screwed. I mean, you're literally getting ripped off. And it should be pretty intuitive. If you're an investor, whatever you do in life, if you're getting ripped off, you're not going to make money. If you're finding value, right, then you're like an investor. So we're finding value in the odds, and this mathematical profit margin is 4.57%. So let's go here, and let's hit it. That's for sure a bet we want to be on. Let's delete these crappy picks that we don't want to be on. And again, it's not like OddsJam is some magic, right? It simply scans the market to find picks with value, with an edge. It's not like every pick wins. It's not like you don't have losing streaks, right? It's just you win in the long run because you have the mathematical advantage. You have the edge. Not every bet's going to win, but out of the millions of odds on sportsbooks and on PrizePicks and Underdog Fantasy and these DFS companies, they screw up a few times, right? So what OddsJam does is it's constantly scanning the market to find those few spots with value, right? This is software that essentially was only available to the pro sports bettors, the sharp sports bettors, people who did this full-time for a living, and then OddsJam just brought this level of data, this breadth of data, the amount of data, the speed of data, and the quality of the tools to everyone, to every sports bettor. So being able to get this at minus 122, I mean, it's just clearly good value, right? You look at any of the sports books, you remove the VIG from their market, clearly minus 122 looks incredible. It's an arbitrage bet to bet online as well. So second, 2 picks on PrizePicks look decent. Woodruff and Musgrove over 4.5. Amari Cooper under 4.5. I already have that in a bet, so I'm going to skip that over. How do we feel about Michael Carter? Over 2.5 receptions. I feel pretty good about that, so let's hit it. Over 2.5 receptions. And we can take a look, too, and see if we can pull up some historical stats on him. So, don't really see anything. Maybe it's just not working yet, or maybe he's just not, didn't get a lot of targets last year. But you can see, once again, all the sportsbooks have this heavily juiced, right? Like, you can imagine if we were placing this parlay on, let's say, BetOnline, or you can look at any of these sportsbooks, Caesars, BetOnline. BetOnline's a pretty sharp sportsbook, is they're giving you minus 169 on Wong to record a hit. On Carter, over 2.5 receptions, they're giving you minus 147. So, okay, minus 147. And then we have Breece Hall, over 1.5 receptions. Now, I will say this is the same game, so maybe there's a little bit of correlation. Maybe you want to avoid this, at least in the same entry, right? Because they're on the same team. So if one player is getting a lot more receptions, then the other player probably isn't. You got to think about correlation sometimes. So let's go to baseball again. Hunter Green, under 7.5. I mean, just ridiculous value, right? BetOnline pricing this at minus 149. So that will be our third leg. So let's go to Green. under 7.5 strikeouts. So now we have 3 picks. Carter, over. Colton Wong, get a hit, bro. And then we have Hunter Green, under 7.5 strikeouts. Maybe a little bit of correlation here, too. They're in the same game, so maybe we skip that one and we pair it later because we're going to have a lot of bets in this video. So maybe we go with this guy. This one, slightly lower profit margin, still looks good. So let's go here. So we can take him under 4.5 strikeouts. So we have Wong, over. 2 baseball plays, 2 overs, 1 under. Seems pretty good. Let's lock it in. 500 is the max. So let's go here. And then we have boom. Okay. So we have 1 down. What do we want to keep? Well, let's keep Waka. Let's keep Wong because it's the best one so far. Now what we can do, diversify a bit, is change to Breece Hall, right? Clear value once again at minus 122. So might as well take this. So now we have, he only has to get 1.5 receptions. So, okay. There we go. Finding some value. Seems like a lot of the values in the over in receptions, whereas PrizePicks, it tended to be the under. So that's a little interesting. And then we can say, okay, what else do we got? We have Siri to get a hit, minus 122. So we can take this. Okay. And then we have Kareem Hunt under 2.5 receptions for the Steelers game tonight. Okay. So we can go Hunt under 2.5 receptions. So now for a 5-pick on Underdog, you're getting the same implied odds as a 3-pick, minus 122. So, and again, like this previous one we placed, we were getting plus 346. That is what your parlay would have come out to on Caesars, just looking at a parlay calculator. And we got plus 500. So here's the second pick I'm going with, right? And we can hit this for 250. So 250 to win $5,000. Wong to get a hit. Waka under 4.5 strikeouts. Breece Hall over 1.5 receptions. Siri over 1.5 hits. Over half of a hit. Kareem Hunt lower than 2.5 receptions. Okay. Boom. That's number 2. Now what else do we want to do? Well, we definitely want to go with Wong again. Or did we already hit our max on Wong? So we've already hit our max on Wong, because the maximum I believe they allow is, if I go back here, what you'll notice is, okay, I don't think they allow more than 750 on a player, but I could be wrong. Let's see. Yeah, 750 max on a player. So we've now hit the max on Wong and Wacha. So it's like, okay, so now what we can do is go back here. No more Wong, no more Waka. So what we can do is we can say, okay, what we want to go with isn't Wong. Is we want to go with, we've hit the max on Cooper too. So we want Carter or Hall. Green. So we want Green. Under 7.5 strikeouts. So we can't take Wong anymore. So we'll get rid of that. And then you can kind of pick. We can go with 3 picks. We can go with 4 picks. What are we feeling? And I guess the one we would prefer to go with in terms of player receptions is going to be Michael Carter over 2.5. That one looks objectively better, so we'll take him. So we'll go with Carter over 2.5 receptions. Hunter Green under 7.5 strikeouts. This is sharp sports betting, right? It's a cheat code. You're just finding value in the odds, and then you can pick. Would you rather have Siri over half of a hit or Kareem Hunt under 2.5 receptions? So what we'll do is let's go with him. Okay. And then we can hit that. So how are we looking? We've now hit the limit on Carter, 500, 250. But we can still go more on Green. So we can go to him. We can take him if we want to. Under 7.5 looked pretty good. We could take Hunt. You know, there's different iterations you can do. But regardless, I'll call it here, and let's make some money.